Hmm. And now I will show you the most excellent way. If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I'm only a resounding gong on a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but have not love, I am nothing. Now we are talking about love. Yes, and this is Now Tell Us, and I'm your host, Anthony Moirore. Today we have a great guest with us who is going to tell us about love and much more than just love. Her name is Kim Sorrelle, and she's going to be here soon. But please remember to share this video or this audio, whatever it is that you're listening or watching. Share it, invite your friends, comment, and give us feedback, ask questions. We are here for you. We'll answer. And I won't take one more minute because we need to go and meet Kim. So join me as we go to meet Kim. Here we go. Hello, Kim.
Hello, Anthony. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It is wonderful. And today we are going to be talking about love. And there's much more to love, but we are going to introduce that other thing as we keep going. But love is such a beautiful thing. And I know that you've got a great experience with this. But before we go there, I would like to know who is Kim?
I'm an entrepreneur. I
Yeah.
run a nonprofit organization. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. I am a dog owner. I live in the U.S. I'm an author, a speaker, and I love people and I love love.
Wow. What a good one. I love people and love. Yeah. Which state are you in?
I'm in Michigan.
Michigan.
So, right. So, in the central northern part of the U.S. where it's cold and there's snow on the ground.
Ah, snow.
hmm I
I like
prefer warm.
I like snow, but I don't like the cold.
I agree. I
Can I
agree.
have one? Can I have one and not the other?
Seems like that would be possible. We should be able to do that,
Oh,
but
that
I
would
don't
be
think
good.
so.
That would be good if we had one and not the other. We have
Mhm.
snow, but we don't have the cold that comes with it. Yeah, but then this is life, and life has its ups and downs. It has cold and heat. It has everything that comes with our living everyday life. Some are good, some are not so good, but then we still say life goes on. And I know you've got an experience in your life, and you like to tell if you like to tell us maybe starting from when you are growing up and some of the experiences and how life has been treating you all the way.
Sure. Yeah. So I was going to be the first woman president of the United States of America. That was
Wow.
my goal. Yes. And
What?
so,
Explain to us.
yeah.
That's
So when I was in high school, I had my life laid out before me. I knew
okay.
exactly what I needed to do to get there. And I wasn't sure if a husband and kids would fit into the equation. And I did know, though, that if I ever were to marry, the man had to have two things. He had to be over 6 foot tall because my 5 foot nothing mom married a short man. And I wanted to give my kids a chance at some height. And he
Hmm.
had to be good looking because I wanted him to look good in my wedding pictures. And so, May of my senior year in high school, right as I'm about to graduate from high school, this tall, dark, handsome, incredible man walked into my life. And 10 days later, I asked him to marry me, and he said yes.
Wow.
And yeah, we got married a little less than a year later. A couple years after that, started having kids. Meanwhile, building businesses, and now my kids are grown. And unfortunately, I was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago, and I'm doing great. I had breast cancer, and uh, they've done a lot of studies on breast cancer. And in fact, my son, I have a son who's a cancer researcher because I went through cancer. And 4 months after I was diagnosed, my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and
Mm.
he passed away 6 weeks after that.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah,
Mm.
he was a wonderful man, and we had a great marriage. He was awesome.
Hmm. So, how many years had you been with him?
It'll be 14 years.
14
Uh,
years.
yes, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, since he was gone. So I was in my 40s, and I had to develop this whole new life. I had to figure out my life. I thought I was going to grow old with this man, that would be in our 90s and be on the front porch on rockers drinking lemonade and smiling at each other or whatever you do when you're in your 90s. And instead, I had to figure out what life now meant alone, what it was going to look like. And
Mm.
one thing that I figured out is that there are things in life we have no control over, right?
Mm.
Like I wouldn't pick having cancer. I wouldn't pick anybody having cancer. I wouldn't choose to lose my husband. But there are things in life that we do control, like how happy we are and
Mm.
how much joy we have in our lives and how fully we want to live and what we want to do to give back. And so those are choices I make every day.
Wow. If you met with someone like we met with you, though online, and we see that big smile that you have on your face, nobody would know the places that you've been and the pains that you've experienced along the way. So we take your word that you have choices to make on how you're going to respond to what happens because we don't have control over many things. So
Yes.
how did you just maneuvered those two incidences?
Yeah, well, it was tough. I was still going through cancer stuff when my husband passed away,
Mm.
and it was hard. But I felt like I needed to be strong for my kids, and I still had to deal with health issues, so I needed to be strong that way too.
Mm.
And when I was finally able to go back to work physically, I wasn't sure what I was going to do because life changed so dramatically. And so I ended up taking a job as a part-time bookkeeper for a nonprofit organization that my father and I had started 10 years before. And so I thought, well, I'll start this part-time job and we'll see what happens.
Mm.
And 12 days later, there was an earthquake in Haiti that killed 200,000 people. So
Mm.
I went from part-time to 24/7, and within a couple weeks, I was in Haiti, and then, for the next several years, I was in Haiti for at least part of every month. And I learned that service and getting out of yourself and serving others, it is such a great healer for grief. And I never knew that. I've never heard that or read that, but it's just so true. When you can get out of yourself and give to others, it is very healing.
Mm. So today, as we speak, you're clean from cancer.
I am. I'm doing
Mhm.
great. Yes.
That's wonderful. Great.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Yeah.
we pray for the best for you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. It's
Yeah.
interesting because losing my husband, one thing that it made me do was question love. And I was in
Mm.
love with my husband. We had a great marriage. So it's not like there was a lack of love in our marriage, but I wanted to make sure I was doing life right. I felt like I really needed to honor him by living fully and doing things the right way. And so I looked at love and tried to read about love. And it seems like different people have different answers. It seems like there's this mystery around love. Like there's all these books and all these movies and all this stuff on love, but none of it really brings it all home. And so I decided I would dedicate a full year to figuring out the truth about love, what love really is.
Hmm. And tell us your findings, please.
Yeah, well, I discovered so much. You read from 1 Corinthians 13. That's what
Yeah.
I took. I used that as my roadmap. Love is patient, love is kind, does not envy, does not boast, and decided I would take one word a month and figure out, well, what is love that is patient? What is
Mm,
love that is kind? What does that even mean? And I figured out that every single word, when you put love is or love is not in front of it, it completely changes the word, completely changes the meaning. So,
mm-hmm,
like the very first month, I thought, oh, patience, that'll be easy. We know what patience is. We're ready to go. They're not ready to go. We're not stomping our foot, getting angry or honking our horn if somebody's slow in front of us in traffic. And that's patience. But
mm,
I figured out that love that is patient is different than that. Like I believe you're just supposed to love everybody. Like just
mm,
love everybody. It's a great way to live.
mm-hmm,
And if you love somebody with love that is patient, you recognize that this moment is the most important moment of your life. What's in the past is in the past, and what's in the future is yet to come. Be fully present in this moment. Give whoever your complete attention. And I'll tell you, I was not good at this. I was really, really bad at this. I had to practice and practice because it was so easy to be in conversation and be thinking about a meeting I had later, who had to get to soccer practice, what I had to pick up from the grocery store, whatever it was, and think that I was fully engaged with somebody at the same time. And it just does not work like that.
mm,
I don't have that superpower. I don't think anybody does. But when I practiced and learned how to do it, trained myself to stop and truly be in the moment, give my full attention to who I'm with, it's like my ears opened up, my
mm,
mind opened up. I heard things I never would have heard. And
mm-hmm,
instead of making assumptions about what somebody's going to say based on what I know about them or a label I might put on them, I was hearing their actual words. And it's amazing the difference that is. So
mm-hmm,
to love with love that is patient is be there in the moment, give your full attention and really listen.
mm. Love is. And then I discovered that you came up with a book from it.
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, Love is
So,
the book. Yeah.
yeah. So love is a year-long experiment of living out 1 Corinthians 13 by Kim Sorrelle.
That's
That's,
right.
that's a good one. And it won an award. What award is that?
What, say that again, I'm sorry. What?
It's written winner over there. Oh, tell
Oh
us.
yeah. Yeah, I won the International Book Award. Uh, the
Okay.
book the book won the award, which is pretty cool.
That's good. So your labor of love produced some fruits.
It did. It
Mm,
did. It's funny because when I first started, the very first thing that I figured out is that there are 14 is and isn't of love in that beautiful poem, that chapter. And so
mm,
it took me a little longer than a year, but I got it done. And I start each chapter with what I think it's going to mean, what I think it will be. And I wasn't sure that this would ever be a book. This was something I needed to do for myself. And
mm-hmm,
I thought if I never tell anybody, if nothing ever comes of it, great. But instead, I learned so much about love. I learned things that I think that we misunderstand about love, that are common misunderstandings about love,
mm-hmm,
that now I'm just passionate to share. Like we think of love, quite often you'll hear that love is a two-way street,
mm,
right? Or that there's a number to it. It's 50-50. It's 100-100, whatever. Well, there's no number to love. And
mm-hmm,
love is a one-way street. It is not a two-way street.
mm-hmm,
If I gave you money and you gave me a pair of jeans, that would be a transaction. If I give you love to get love, that's a transaction, and love is not a transaction.
mm-hmm,
Love is 100% on you. If you give love to get love in return, you are setting yourself up for heartache and disappointment and loneliness because you have no control over the love that comes back to you. You
Mm-hmm.
only control the love that you give, the love that you live. So love is a one-way street. It's all you have to do, but it's completely up to you to love.
It's up to you to love, and love is a one way. It's not, you don't do it to be done to you. You just do it because you want, and you have to, and it's something that you've been called to.
Right, right.
Mhm. Now, you've been. Oh, is this your only book, your first book that you've written, or have you written others?
Yeah, yeah, it's actually my second book. My first book is called Cry Until You Laugh,
Mm-hmm.
and I started writing right after I was diagnosed with breast cancer
Okay.
and continued to write. It was very therapeutic for one thing, but I was also sending out my writings on email, and before I knew it, 5,000 people were reading my emails when I sent them out.
Mm,
And so I continued to write. My husband his diagnosis and losing my husband. I wrote for a little over a year, and Cry Until You Laugh is the name of it because you have to, cry. Yes. I mean, grief is real, right? When
mm,
you lose somebody, it's tough.
mm,
And you hear things like, well, you got to move on or you got to get over it. Well, you never get over it. And you don't move on, you move forward, but you
mm,
don't move on because that person will forever be a part of your life.
mhm,
And so, cry. But then I think too, people sometimes get stuck in grief, right? You see
mhm,
people that just for years, they're just so sad and they have a hard time laughing again. And
mhm,
sometimes people think it's disrespectful to the person that they lost to really enjoy life, to really laugh again. Like
mhm,
somehow you're not thinking about them enough or whatever, and it's dishonoring to them. But I think the
mm,
opposite is true. I think to really honor who you've lost, you need to live fully. Live for both of you. Show the person honor and live fully, live completely.
mm. Oh, yeah, there was love, and that love joined two together, and two are separated by death, but love continues. So you still remember that person, you keep on living. You don't, you say you don't live on,
You don't move on.
you don't move
Right,
on,
right, right.
you
Yeah,
keep, but you move on.
but you
No,
move forward,
that's
right.
good. You move forward.
Mhm.
So now and it's good because we are talking about surviving and thriving, and I know there are people. I mean, this is word over you. You never know who's listening and has someone who's undergoing such an issue, or someone himself is going through it and he's hearing this. Now, would you maybe share some tips in addition to the love that you shared with us, because love conquers everything? What are some other tips that you would give people who need to thrive after going through such an ordeal?
Well, it's interesting. Right after I was diagnosed, people would say to me, "Oh, Kim, why you? Why you? And you do this and you help people, you do whatever, and why you?" And my response was always, "Why not me? Why
Mm-hmm,
would I be immune?" I don't think God is in heaven saying, "Oh, you stole that pack of gum when you were in seventh grade, when you were 12 years old. And so I'm going to give you cancer when you're in your 40s." I don't think that's what happens.
mm-hmm,
Cancer it can happen to anybody.
mm-hmm,
And there was no breast cancer in my family. There was no reason for my husband to get pancreatic cancer, like with what we know with science now,
mm-hmm,
but it happened, and it can happen to anybody. So it wasn't a why me, woe is me. It's a, well, why not me? Of course it can happen to me.
mm-hmm,
And I think attitude is so important. How you deal, and of course you're going to have moments when you feel really bad for yourself and you
mm-hmm,
think, gosh, I wish so badly I didn't have to go through this, that my life was different, and this wasn't a part of my life. But when you come out of that and just have a positive attitude and don't let the negative in, just think positively. Your mind is such a powerful weapon, and
mm-hmm,
it changes your when your attitude changes, and when you realize that that you get to pick your attitude, right? Like no
Mm-hmm.
matter what happens to us in life, we get to react however it is we want to react. You know,
Sure.
like there can be two people in a traffic jam where the traffic's just not moving. And one guy in one car is honking his horn and he's yelling out the window and he's mad and angry and his blood pressure's rising and he's so upset because of this traffic jam. And
Mm-hmm.
in the very next car, there could be a man who's saying, well, I can't move the traffic. There's nothing I can do about it. I'll turn on a good podcast like Anthony's and just chill and relax. And his blood pressure stays down.
Mm-hmm.
So, same situation, but two different reactions. We pick how we react. That is
Mm-hmm.
our choice how we react.
Mm-hmm. And when you are going through those incidences, I know you are surrounded with people, and we like to look at all the different perspectives. And there are people who are there around you. Some are encouraging. Some would have said, or maybe might have said, words that were not so good. What would you advise? What are the dawns of people who are surrounding someone who's undergoing such things, like losing a loved one, being diagnosed of a terminal disease, or something like that? What did you hear? Some messages? Did you see some actions that you would tell people, please don't do that?
Yeah, I would say, a big one is it kind of comes back to love, that just love people, just love whoever's going through it. And with love, there's no room for judgment or condemnation. There's no room for negative anything. We're all walking on the same earth. We all have our
Mm,
feet on the same ground. We are all equal. And so don't judge people or label them. Don't put
mm,
labels on people. Love does not label people. You're Anthony, I'm Kim. That's it. There
mm,
might be things that we do or things we're affiliated with, but that's not who we are.
mm,
And you love people for who they are. So with grief, with losing somebody, with going through an illness, you run into people that critique you, that think you're doing it wrong,
mm,
that that judge you by the way you're grieving, judge you by the way you're dealing with your illness, judge you by the way you are as a caretaker or whatever, and leave your judgments at home.
mm,
We're not here to judge each other.
mm,
Praise the Lord, we're not here to judge each other. We're just here to love each other.
mhm,
So I would say that that's a big one. Don't judge. Nobody's walked in the same pair of shoes. Nobody's walked in your shoes. And
mm,
every day leads us to today. So the way we deal with things can be different from each other, which is fine.
mm,
But try to not judge. Just support and love and don't judge.
mm,
And I would say the other thing is don't shy away. There's this statistic in the United States about widows that widows lose 80% of their friends. 80%.
mm,
80% of their friends, 80% of them change churches, and 80% gain 15 pounds. So lovely widow statistics. But friends stop calling. You were friends with a couple maybe, and now those couples are still doing things together. And now you're not a couple, you're single, and get invited to things, and people shy away because they think you're just going to be down and depressed. They don't want to talk about it. And the reality is, I love talking about my husband. I love sharing stories about my husband. Like,
mm,
feel free to ask people. Ask about the daughter that's no longer there or their friend who passed away. Ask for stories. People love to talk about that. Don't shy away. Don't shy away. We're all still in this together. So stick it out with people.
Now it's good to hear that from you, because you've been there and experienced it. So you are in a good big position to tell us. Now, talking about people judging, you wouldn't imagine that happens, but then it reminds me of the Bible story about Job. Now he's undergoing all the troubles and challenges that he's going through, and his friends come and tell you, "Now, Job, you might have sinned. Can you search yourself? Maybe you have sinned. This is why you are going through what you are going through now." So it's good to not judge. And at this point, we want to thank all our viewers who are watching and all those who are listening, even those who get to listen or watch after we are through. We thank you. Newton, thank you. And we are glad that you are getting some information here, right here. Thank you. And everyone else, if you are there, comment, ask question, and we would love to interact with you. So thank you, Newton, and everyone else. Now, yes, I said people judge. They should stop judging. That's what Kim says today. And what particular thing? What's the best thing that someone can do to, in addition to love, definitely, because you talk about love, or maybe an action of love that I'll ask you specifically because you've been there. Something that someone did to you, and you were up to this day you remember, and are very glad that he did that or she did that during that time that you are going through.
I would say that one of the best things is I had some people a few months after my husband died. It was
Mm,
a year later, sometime after my husband died, just write me a note, an email or a card, a handwritten note in the mail saying, I'm thinking about you, whatever it said. But it's wonderful to know that people realize that you're not just going through it at that time.
mhm,
And, after the funeral, all is well, right? But that you are still dealing with it. It's part of your life. It's part of what's going on in your world. And
mhm,
so to reach out to people in the future is just a wonderful thing to do.
mhm. That's wonderful. And behind you is we see one of the those you introduced to us at the at the beginning. That's wonderful. It's a great one. So yeah, we thank you very much for taking your time and being with us here, coming and telling us about surviving and thriving after cancer, and reminding us again that we need to embrace love and spread love out there. We really appreciate that.
Well, it's my pleasure. One quick thing about love is that love is not an emotion like
Mm,
fear or excitement. You might watch a scary movie and that night you hear every bump, every creak in the floor, whatever, because you're in fear, right?
mm, mhm,
But you don't live in that. That goes away.
mm,
We don't live in fear. And every day is not Mickey Mouse and Disney World. We don't live in excitement, but
mhm,
we live in love. Love is who you are. Love is walking, talking, living, breathing, giving. It is who you are and who you can then be to other people. So love needs to be embraced not as an emotion, but as who you are, that you are love.
you are love. And thank you. Now, since we are almost through our episode, and we may get people who are interested in connecting with you in one way or the other, in what way would you want those people who are listening to connect with you? What do you teach, or maybe buy your book or something like that? Tell us.
Yeah, well, a couple different things. I mean, I do speak. I do have my book. My book's available pretty much everywhere. Love is. It's a easy title to remember. It's on audio as well as an ebook, as well as paperback, and
Mm,
so it's available. And I'm available for speaking, but I'm also coaching. I'm a love coach, and I'm spending time with people. And it's amazing how when you understand love, when you really understand it and live it, how much it changes every area of your life. So my website is kimsorrelle.com, which is a little obnoxious. I'm the only Kim Sorrelle in the entire world spelled my way because my last name has way too many letters, two R's, two E's, two L's, Sorrelle. So kimsorrelle.com. But if you Google love is, chances are I'll pop up. But I love to hear from people. I have a free 14-day love challenge on my website, and I love to hear from people. So contact me, reach out, any questions, anything. You don't have to go to Haiti for a year to figure out love. I did your homework for you. So you can just reach out, and I love sharing everything and anything I know.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for that. So reach out to Kim at kimsorrelle.com and yeah, get coached on love. I mean, in everything we need a coach, and I don't know if you agree with me that in everything we need a coach. So someone was not expecting to hear a love coach, but yes, Kim is a love coach.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And if you're gonna have any kind of coach, that's kind of a good one, because
That's a
love
good
is
one.
universal and part of everything in your life,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure, definitely. So we thank you once again for being on our show.
Thank you so much for having me, Anthony. You're fabulous. Everybody should listen to your show. It should be on everybody's top of their podcast list. You just do such a great job, and I so enjoy you, and I'm so happy that we're connected.
Wow, thank you. I am humbled with those words.
Well, it's all true because you're good.
Yeah, and now before we go, would like you to leave us with a few words that we should always remember. Which are they?
Uh, Love has no expectations. Just love people.
Mm.
Love, show kindness, do kind things. Just show love, give love with zero expectation of getting anything back. Not a thank you. Don't do it for a thank you. Don't do it because you went to their daughter's wedding. Now you're mad that they're not at your daughter's wedding. You don't have to repay people. Just love people and with no expectations. Live zero expectation love.
Wow, love has no expectations. Just do it out there. Love people without expecting anything in return. That's a good one. We appreciate. And Peter says that's powerful. So they agree with that. Yeah, no expectations, just love.
Mhm.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, everyone else. As we thank Kim for being with us and sharing with us all that she's shared with us, she's told us so much. Thank you, Kim.
My pleasure.
Yes, this has been Now Tell Us, and I have been your host, Anthony Muirore. And together with Kim Sorrelle, we are saying bye for now. Bye.